Hello again, welcome to chessstrategiesblog.com, and today I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to show you how to avoid stalemate when you're trying to checkmate your opponent's king with a king and a queen, and I'm also going to show you an example of how a young player actually applied these rules to checkmate me. Alright, so first we're going to learn a little bit about stalemate. As you can see, the white king and queen have occupied the center of the board, driving the opponent's king out of the center toward the edge, and the black king is in a box established by the queen that runs from A4 to E4 and from E4 to E8 and E8 to A8. Now, as it stands, this king here at D4 actually sort of casts a shadow, as it were, and if this king could get around here, the black king could actually escape the box through A4 or B4. Of course, in doing so, the king would actually move into a smaller box, but you want to avoid doing that if possible. You want to confine the king and drive him toward the edge of the board. That's the idea. Alright, so we begin by making the box that the king is in a little bit smaller. And the queen moves to E5, checking the king, and the box has moved from a 5x5 box down, it's contracted down to a 5x4 box, now enclosing 20 squares. Though of course you may have noticed already that though this box includes 20 squares, only a few of those squares are actually accessible to the king. The edges are all forbidden to the king, and also this diagonal from E5 to B8 is king can't go there. Well, the king has to move toward the edge, and the queen consequently makes the box a little bit smaller, and the king moves to C7. Notice that the king moves a knight's move away from the queen. The king moves in for the kill. Now, our young player ought at this point to cut off the row, moving the queen to F7 and cutting off this row, and confining the opponent's king to the 8th rank, but instead continues to try to make the box smaller. This is a recipe for stalemate. And if you have a king and a queen against a king, stalemate here is disaster. You want to avoid giving your opponent a draw when you've got a clear win in hand. And the queen continues to try to make the box smaller, and the king moves. You notice that the king moves a knight's move away from the queen again, and the king only has one square that he can move to. That's A7. The A8 square and the B7 square are guarded by the queen. The C8 square is guarded by the queen. The C7 square is guarded by the queen. The king can only move to there. And if that square were guarded, say, by the king, it would be stalemate. And sure enough, our unlucky white player moves his king there, and his opponent looks at him and says, "The game is a draw. This is stalemate." The king is not in check, but he has no legal move. That's a stalemate. What should white have done? If we move back to this position, just when the king moves to the edge of the board, As soon as you see that, the queen should move to cut off that row. And if you do that, if you keep your queen away from the corner and follow the rules, you'll be able to checkmate your opponent every time. If the king moves here toward the center, you move your king right opposite, and he only has one move. And then your next move is going to be checkmate. You win. So I hope you've learned a little bit how to avoid stalemate and what a stalemate is. Now we'll look at the actual application of these rules by a young player. I made these rules to teach my children how to checkmate the bear king. And my 7-year-old daughter agreed to try to checkmate me for the purposes of putting it on the blog. So I started with my king at e5, and my daughter started with a queen on g1 and a king on h1, and I challenged her to try to checkmate my king using the rules that I had taught her, which are the same rules that I've put on the blog. Get your pieces in the center, make the box smaller with the queen, cut off the row, get your king in position, and then checkmate with a queen 1, 2, 3. And let's see how she did. Well, she begins well, trying to get the king into the center. That's good. Brings the queen towards the center and starts to make the box smaller. She could have made the box smaller with her queen there. This is actually fairly good. That's a very good move that she thought up on her own. But it forces my king to the edge of the board. And as soon as my king is on the edge, she cuts off the row. Good for her. And now, all I can do is run away. And she gets the kings lined up and delivers checkmate. There it is. 7-year-old girl did it. You can do it too. Just learn the simple rules and apply them, and you'll be checkmating your opponents in no time. I hope you enjoyed it and learned from it. Thank you.